Yes, I did say, I said to her, I don't want to have to kill your dog. I don't want to have to do it.
24-90. All right, and I see Ms. Baird-Lira is here and Mr. Carter is here. So we'll go ahead with your case. This is Ms. Baird-Lira's petition for an anti-harassment order against Mr. Carter. This case was filed on March 22nd. There was no temporary order granted, and the hearing was set for today. It appears that Mr. Carter was served on April 2nd. So I'm going to ask you, Mr. Carter, are you ready to go ahead with this hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. All right, I'm going to have both parties raise your right hands, please. And do both of you swear that the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then Ms. Baird-Lira, you get to go first as you're the petitioner in this case. Keep in mind that everything that you have previously filed, including your petition, is already part of the record and can be used as my basis to decide the case. So it's not necessary for you to repeat everything that you've already either submitted in writing or in exhibits before. So go right ahead.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. So we have had the 3 incidents with Mr. Carter now, the last one being the most severe. So when he came to our door complaining of our dog and threatened our dog and our children, after that incident, I called the police and they instructed me to come to the court and file a protection order. That would be our best case scenario. So every incident has been an issue about our dog barking and bothering him. Our yards are parallel to each other. There is another property in between us, so we don't share any property lines. But he is kind of up on a hill and can see down into our yard. So, but our dog is never outside for more than 10 or 15 minutes at a time. We haven't had any complaints from any other neighbors or any complaints with the HOA about noise with our dog or our home or anything. The neighbor that is in between mine and Mr. Carter's home has had similar troubling encounters with him as well. He did seem to be mumbling and possibly intoxicated. I'm not sure. So when the second encounter we had when my son was outside and heard some yelling, he did say, "Stop or I'll shoot." That was what my son thought he heard. We went outside and didn't hear anything further, so we didn't contact the police at that time. But then it was about 2 weeks later that Mr. Carter came down and knocked on our door and made the comments he did to me about, "I don't want to kill your dog or hurt your kids, but if I have to take matters into my own hands, I will." So that's why we're asking for the order to be granted, that he not harm us and not contact us any further.
Let me ask you, how long have you been neighbors with Mr. Carter?
We purchased our home in November of 2022. So we've only lived here for about a year and a half.
And he already lived there when you moved in?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Continuously since November of 2022?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to get a time frame here. And the incidents that you talk about, with the exception of the most recent one on March 12th, are not dated. So can you tell me when that first alarming contact took place?
The first contact Mr. Carter walked down to our house and knocked on our front door was in October of last year, so 2023. My husband answered the door and spoke to him. He was just expressing concern and complaint about our dog barking in the yard. Then that time we had a new friend come over for dinner. We had just let the dog outside to calm down for a minute, and Mr. Carter came right down to our house to start complaining about the dog barking. So that was about 6 months ago.
All right. Is there anything else you need me to know before I hear from Mr. Carter?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, Mr. Carter, let me hear your side of it.
Good morning, Your Honor. Yes, the first time I went over there, I was polite and I let them know that their dog has a very specific kind of a howlish bark to it, a very kind of unique sound. And I understand that just about everybody in there has a dog, and I went to other people also to let them know that something just has to be done. Um, what I find the most disturbing about this is yes, I did say I said to her, I don't want to have to kill your dog. I don't want to have to do it to get this settled. And ever since the third event, um, I haven't heard their dog out barking anymore. So if they would have just did that, whatever they did recently, the first or the second time, there wouldn't have been a third time. That's all I really have, sir. That she's twisted the words. That's not quite how it went, but it's yeah. I'm not a violent person. I just recently came back from overseas, and in August of this year, and well, August of 23, excuse me. And the only reason I'm back here is because I got medically retired, and I'm just trying to fix my house back up to the way it used to be before I left. And I just don't want to hear all of the dogs barking all the time. Now, I have went to other neighbors. I have one next door neighbor that I went to several times, and I was advised by the HOA to contact the Thurston County Humane Society, and I did all that, and I complained a few times, and I just found out yesterday that they are actually being fined for noise pollution, and so I have avenues now that I'm aware of that are working. But before, everyone was saying, "Well, there's nothing much we can do. There's nothing much we can do." Apparently, that's not true. Apparently, there are avenues now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, it's not a problem to complain about somebody's dog or generally about noise. That sort of thing happens all the time in normal life in neighborhoods where people are living close to each other. Some people aren't even particularly nice about it when they do complain. They can be rough, they can be crude, they can be mean, but none of that is harassment. None of that is a problem. It's just the kind of thing that you encounter living a normal life. Is sometimes you encounter people who aren't particularly pleasant. However, it's a little bit over the top to tell a mother that her kids and her dog might get shot if they're not quiet. I think that sort of thing could cause any reasonable person quite a bit of concern. And then today, hearing this, just the way the testimony, Mr. Carter's testimony was presented, was that would just be something that might have to happen if his needs weren't met and he didn't have another avenue to, have the dogs be quiet. And I don't think off the top of my head that I could imagine a circumstance where it would be appropriate for somebody to shoot a neighbor's dog just on the basis that the dog is loud and disturbing. And the fact that Mr. Carter would just sort of casually mention that that's among his options is a little bit concerning. And I think that the reaction that Ms. Baird-Lira has to that is entirely normal and appropriate. And any reasonable person who was faced with those confrontations and comments would believe that she's being threatened and intimidated into silence or even worse. So I don't think there's any question that those comments were made with the purpose of causing mental anguish to Miss Baird Lyra. And so I'm going to find that harassment did occur. And therefore, I'm going to grant the request for an anti-harassment order.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, I've issued the anti-harassment order as I indicated. This order will be in effect for the next year. And this order prohibits any contact, any harm, and it has an exclude and stay away provision from the residence of Miss Baird Lyra and the children. All right, I'm going to have the clerk file this order. It'll be available to both parties as soon as she files it. All right, that'll conclude your hearing for today.
Thank you.